We will have a we will have a question answer session at the end. So please, if there are any questions, you can ask at the end, or if you want to write in the chat, and Sister Sukaina will cover them at the end as well. So thank you. Before taking any further time, I'll pass on to Sister Sukaina for today's session.
Thank you, Masrat, for that introduction and this opportunity to be here today to talk to you all. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and that's energy work. Now, before I start, if anyone was to tell me that I'd be sitting here talking about energy, I would have told you you're completely crazy. I was very much left-brained. I was into logic. I was into science. And for me, energy work was very wishy-washy, very much out there, not something that I ever dreamed that I would ever even consider. But sometimes life has a way of taking you down the most unexpected path. And today I feel like a very much a transformed person, and energy is how I see the world. So everything around us is energy. And the physical body that we generally see is what our eyes are conditioned to see. So we're actually a lot more than physical, we're actually energy. And we're able to actually tap into our ability to see what we are as a whole. And as we start tapping into this energy, we can see what emotions, what memories, what traumas, and so on that we hold within us. And the more you work with it, you're actually able to release this from our energy body. And this has been a huge part of my journey for the past few years. And I love using it to help grow and expand other people. So my first introduction into energy work was through kinesiology, which basically allows you to tap into the body using muscles. And I guess for me, that was that bridge between science and energy. And I was so wowed by it that I started studying it. And it allowed me to access my body and my energy and see what was really holding me back. And I studied many courses, and soon I discovered cosmic energy. And that's when my third eye opened up and I started to feel and know energy. And again, I took many courses to develop my ability. And so now when I actually tap into my heart space, I'm able to see the world energetically. And especially when I'm working with someone, I can actually see what's going on in their energy field and tap into what is holding them back, or whatever needs work according to the situation that they've come to me with. And I absolutely love working with people. In fact, today I had a session with a client, and I just have to share this because I was so happy when I heard his feedback. He actually had a traumatic incident around 6 years ago, and he had to have an operation, and he's never really recovered since, because it meant he had to let go of his dream. And he's tried everything. He's tried so many different types of therapies, but he just wasn't able to let go. And he himself actually has now studied psychotherapy, but he's still not really been able to move forward. And he's had 2 sessions with me with an energy healing. And today he told me that, you know what, finally, I'm actually feeling like I'm actually shifting and I'm moving. So that was really happy for me to hear. And in fact, I actually spoke to my husband soon after the session, and he said to me, hang on, who had the session? Did you have the session, or was it him? Because you sound so happy that, you know, what's going on? And I was like, no, it was him, but I'm just so happy to see that shift in him. So yeah, I absolutely love working with people and energy. The other thing I love doing is also empowering people to take charge of their own reality and start helping themselves to shift. So today, inshallah, by the grace of God, I hope I'm able to shed a bit of light for you wherever you are in your journey, be it really stuck, or be it taking strides in your growth, or somewhere in between. And especially if you're feeling a little down and a bit stuck with life, then I really hope I'm able to reignite that spark for you. And I hope that today you can take away at least one thing which you can implement into your daily life. So let's get started with our topic for tonight, unblocking the energies that are holding you back. As an overview, I'll briefly look into what a block is, and then I'll share some techniques with you that you can use for yourself. And time permitting, I'll share how I work with energy and give a couple of examples of what I've done and leave you with a very short visualization. So blocks. I'm going to start by asking you 2 questions. Firstly, what is a block? How would you define it? And if you guys can just maybe write down your answers in the chat box, and Musrat, if you don't mind reading them out to me. So what is a block to you?
Someone that said a trauma, a loss, mind block, hurdle, anything which stops the flow of something.
Okay, brilliant. And the second question, what is causing the block and what is holding you back?
Let's say somebody saying grief, fear, conditioning, upbringing, confusion, your attitude towards it, being comfortable. A few words coming in, bad experience, mostly in childhood.
So we had some brilliant answers there. And when we think of a block, it's generally something that gets us stuck or holds us back. And as soon as I think of a block, immediately I get this wall in front of me and something that's very strong and very solid, and I can't get through it. So now the way we look at things and the words we use greatly impact us and our ability to overcome certain situations. As we know, words are very, very powerful. And as a brain gym instructor, I can tell you that the brain does not like negative words at all. The body immediately goes into stress mode. And even if consciously we're feeling okay, the body has actually gone into stress mode and parts of the brain have started shutting down. So let's redefine this word block. A block is an opportunity to grow. A block is an opportunity to flourish, to shine, to expand. So can you see that just by changing that word, we've actually shifted the energy around it? A block is very heavy, it's stagnant, it's very stuck. And as soon as you start using words such as growth, flourish, you can see that there's actually movement, there's an opportunity there. You can actually see that, things are opening up. So now let's go to the second question. What is presenting you with this opportunity to grow? Now we had many words like emotions, self-belief, conditioning, and that's great because that is actually you looking inwards. But let's just take one step back. Often when you're in a situation, you start looking outside of you. And a lot of the time when I'm working with people, I get given stories such as, oh, my husband doesn't understand me, my wife has no time for me, my kids are so demanding, they're never grateful, they're never happy, and so on and so on. And a lot of the time we use pain also as an excuse. And to be totally honest, when I'm in a situation which is a little bit tricky, I also start looking outwards initially until I catch myself and I think, okay, no, hang on a second, let's turn this inwards, let's look at myself, what's going on within me. So if the first instance is something outside of you, I'm going to tell you that that is just an excuse. We love, love, love to blame the external. We love to blame other people because honestly speaking, who wants to blame themselves? But the truth is, it's always within us that's holding us back. And that's actually great because it means that we have an opportunity to actually do something about it. When we're putting the reason to other people, to something else, someone else, you're actually handing your power over to them. But when you start looking inwards, you've taken responsibility of that situation and you have the ability to respond. And you can then start digging deeper. So a block is always, always an opportunity to grow. And it means that something is ready for release. And that's wonderful because then you can start growing and expanding further. So let's look at the energies that can be actually holding us back and how we can start trying to overcome them. So from the moment we're conceived, actually, in fact, even way before that, and as we go through our experience of life, we accumulate memories, we accumulate expectations for ourselves, expectations of others. We create loads of labels for ourselves, we box ourselves, we suppress our emotions, we hold on to traumas, we hold on to fears, onto loads of different beliefs, and not to mention judgment of ourselves and of others. And all of these things get accumulated and stuck within us. And as we grow, these things start affecting us more and more. And we start creating from this framework that we've actually put ourselves into. And often, instead of helping us, it's actually holding us back. So whilst I was studying kinesiology in the first year, I actually realized that I'd come to a point in my life where I didn't know who I was anymore. I was a wife, I was a mother, I was the eldest daughter, the older sister, a cousin, a friend, and so on. And the list went on and on. But who was I really? I had no idea. And in fact, I'd even forgotten what I enjoyed, and I forgot what I used to like when I was a child. And I realized that I was a whole list of memories and incidences that I felt that I had been unfairly treated by friends, by family, by in-laws. The list just went on and on and on. And I realized I had so many regrets of things that I hadn't achieved, for not looking after myself. I'd put loads of expectations on myself, and I was so judgmental. It actually makes me cringe now when I think about how judgmental I was on myself and of others. And I felt really, really stuck. And then I realized that the only person that can change this is myself. So the thing to remember when we're feeling stuck is when we ask ourselves the question, what is holding us back? It is always ourselves. And now I know this may seem very obvious, but it's very easy to get into the blame game and into frustration mode. And I still remember the day that I actually realized that I was my own biggest block. And as disheartening as that felt, at the same time, it was empowering too, because it meant that I could change the situation for myself. So just to recap, the first thing to shift blocked energy is always awareness. And that the block has presented itself to you or to us because it's ready to release, or at least a layer of it is ready to release. And any energy can be shifted. You just have to want it enough. And the key is to be patient with yourself and to have some consistency. Now, if you think about how long we've been carrying all of this for, naturally, it's going to take some time for it to release. And honestly, if you want to change something, you just have to want it enough, and anything and everything is possible. So now let's go on to how we can start shifting these energies and what you can do for yourself to embrace this opportunity of growth. So my first go-to is always meridians. Now, when it comes to energy work, most people have heard of chakras, but very, very few people have heard of meridians. However, they play a huge role in your vitality and your aliveness. So what are meridians? Meridians are energy lines or pathways which run in our body and allow the energy to flow within our body. So if you think of like a hose pipe and you've got water running through it, what happens when there's a kink in it? One side there's a whole build-up, and the other side it trickles through. Or in this pipe, if there's residue there, then the water slows down and then it flows a bit more and then it slows down again. So we have this uneven flow. And basically a similar thing happens to us. Our energy lines get clogged up with emotions, with traumas, with beliefs, etc. And the more we clear these energy lines, the better the flow is within our body. So in our body, we actually have 14 main meridians. We have the central meridian, we have the governing meridian, and we have 12 other meridians, which are named after the organ that they go through. For example, we've got the kidney meridian, the liver meridian, the bladder meridian, etc. But for today, we're only going to look at two of the meridians, the central meridian and the governing meridian. And these deal with the energy that's entering the body and leaving the body. And when these are unbalanced, then life generally becomes very tough and you may feel very off and very ungrounded. So the central meridian, I'm just going to use this doll to help explain. The central meridian runs along the front of our body. So it starts at the pubic bone and it goes all the way up until under the lip. And this is linked with our brain and how we think. And it's associated with feeling centered and secure. And things that really affect the central meridian are overwhelm and confusion and a lot of negative self-talk. The governing meridian runs up the back of our spine. So it starts at the tailbone, it goes back up along the spine, over the top of the head, and down to the upper lip. And it's actually to do with how we feel supported by life and greatly affected by our burdens and our lack of support. So regardless of if you're feeling blocked or if you're working on something, I would actually introduce this practice that I'm now going to show you into your daily life. And it literally takes a minute. So honestly, nobody has an excuse, and it's a brilliant, brilliant way to start your day. So what we do, I'm just going to stand up for this so that you can see. I hope you can see me. Okay, so basically our central goes from here all the way up to under our lip. So initially you're just going to move your hand up and down. And what this is doing is you're actually flushing that energy and you're clearing out whatever is ready for clearing. Then you're going to run that meridian with your hand and you're just going to go up and just run it all the way up to under the lip, and then take your hand over and out. The important thing to do is to take the hand over and out, because otherwise what happens is you go up, and then if you just take your hand down, you're literally just unzipping that meridian again. So key thing, over and out. So let's do this 3 times. Up, over and out. Second time. And a third time. And then we're going to work on the governing meridian, which is on the back of us. Now, obviously, it'll be a bit hard to start flushing it. So what you can actually do is just do it by intention. So just literally do this, intending that you're flushing your governing meridian. And then when you've done that, run the meridian. So take your hand from the back, from the tailbone, just go up as far as you can. And then just intend you're going to catch it from there where you left it off. Pick it up, take it over the top of you and up to your upper lip, and just stop there. And then we're going to do that 3 times. And that's it. So as you can see, literally a minute's worth. And what it actually does, it strengthens your meridian, and it actually helps release whatever is ready for release, especially old patterns that are no longer serving us. And in fact, pain is also often stuck energy. So if you introduce this practice in, you may notice that some of your pain or discomforts will actually start easing up. And when you actually run your meridians, or these 2 meridians, in fact, you may even feel that you actually feel a lot more grounded, or you're like ready to do something, or you feel that you can move, or you'll get more clarity. And honestly, it's one of my most favorite things. I've actually had clients whose central meridian have been running the wrong way. So instead of running upwards, they're actually running downwards. And they've felt very depressed and very hopeless with life. And literally just by working on this meridian and changing it so that it starts working the way it's meant to, their life has completely changed, and so is their outlook. So never underestimate something that you see as a small change, because it can have a huge impact in your life overall. And if you actually use these meridians with the intention that you want to help it release the block that you have, then it will actually help you even further. So that's the first one. Now, the second one for today, and that's choice of words. So we've already seen how we can change things by changing the words that we use, just how we changed block into opportunity of growth. So words have a huge impact on us. And if you find yourself using words like I can't, or I feel so blocked, or I'm stuck, try shifting this to positive words such as I'm learning, I'm exploring, I'm discovering. And you'll see that this actually starts helping you move forward again. And when you're saying things and you're using negative words and you're saying it over and over again, which is what we tend to do because we like to sit in our little dramas of we can't do this and we can't do that. What actually happens is you're now creating a belief, because something said over and over again turns into a belief. So you've now actually created a limiting belief for yourself, and you've actually made that block so much bigger. So the earlier you catch yourself, the better. And I'll give you an example for myself. When I first started working with energy, I used to feel and know things, but I was never somebody that could see. So when I would practice with other energy workers, I used to feel really disheartened because when they worked on me, they were able to give me intricate details of what they could see. They would give me long, long descriptions. They would give me explanations. And then when it came to the other way around and I would work on them, I would just give them an overall view of what happened. And they would be very happy and they would be really thrilled at the shifts that they were feeling and the energy that they felt and so on. Yet I felt very, very insecure. And I kept saying that, oh, I feel stuck, I'm blocked, I can't see. And the more I said it, the more blocked I felt. And so one of my mentors told me, please don't focus on what you can't see. The main thing is that they're actually feeling the shifts and the energy is going through exactly how it's meant to, and so is the healing. So I actually then decided to accept my gift the way it was. And I started telling myself, okay, I'm heightening my intuition, I'm strengthening my knowing. And as soon as I did that and I changed my focus from being blocked into what I was developing, I realized the healings actually started becoming better and I started receiving whatever information I needed. So me wanting to be able to see was actually just me feeding my ego. So that's the second thing for today. The third tool, and this is where the really exciting stuff happens, digging deeper into your opportunity of growth. Now, this can be a little bit harder if you've been stuck in that situation for a while, but what I suggest is just take a deep breath and remember that every single breath is a new opportunity to start shifting. There's no hurry, take it step by step and be patient with yourself. So ask yourself, what are the emotions around the situation that you're stuck in? And then actually allow those emotions to come up and just allow them just to surface. It could be anger. It could be anger at yourself for being in that situation. It could be feelings of being unsupported. It could be sorrow. It could be regret. It could be literally anything. So once these emotions have arisen, literally just shake them off like this. Like, you know, when you see a dog come out of water and he just shakes, the same way, just literally shake off all these emotions. Now, these will only be very surface level emotions. And if you feel that they've shifted, great. If not, use the next step to work on them further. So the next step is actually digging even deeper and seeing, okay, what are the emotions that are actually hiding underneath these surface ones? And most of the time, you'll actually find it's the fear of something. Emotions actually stem from only two emotions. There's fear and there's love. So any negative emotion actually is stemmed in a fear. Now, it could be a fear of rejection. It could be a fear of embarrassment. It could be a fear of failure, fear of being alone, whatever it is. Just take note of that fear. Or if you're working with some previous emotions, then use those. And close your eyes and take yourself to a place where you feel very safe. And then allow that emotion to come up and allow yourself to be in the worst possible case scenario. and let that scenario become your reality. And then just sit in that emotion. And you may actually notice that it starts building up in certain areas, or you may feel it more in some areas than another. So put your hand wherever you're feeling it most, if it's in your heart, in your throat, wherever it is, just put your hand there and just allow yourself to support that area. And then just sit with that emotion. And slowly, slowly, you'll actually notice that it will dissipate, and it will slowly, either it will completely disappear or it will reduce substantially. So fears and insecurities are actually created unconsciously by ourselves. And so in the same way we create them, we actually have the ability to let them go. Now, just as a warning, please don't overpush yourself. Don't overwhelm yourselves, and you know your limits. So only go as deep as you possibly can, and take it slowly and a little at a time. And especially if it's associated with a traumatic incident, then please get help from someone else to go through the work. I actually had a client who was struggling with finding a job. So she had emotions of anger towards herself for not being able to find the job and for not being qualified enough. And there was frustration at all the rejections she was getting. And then there was guilt associated around her not being able to provide her kids with what opportunities she would have liked to have given them. So initially, we released all of these emotions. And then when we dug deeper, we found that her fear was actually that her children would become closer to the father, because the father had a stay-at-home job. And this was actually her biggest fear. And so she sat with that emotion, and it slowly dissipated. And then she realized that the father could never obviously replace her, and the love the kids felt for her was for her. And even though this seems really obvious, this was the fear that was holding her back. And shortly afterwards, she actually, after releasing this, she actually ended up with 2 job opportunities that same week, one of which allowed her to work from home, and the salary was much higher than she was expecting. So once you let go of fears, anything can happen. You've just got to literally be open to it. And the final aspect that we'll look at today, which can be holding you back, is limiting beliefs. So these are beliefs that actually hold us back, and they may not necessarily be obvious ones. And often they're the opposite of what we feel consciously. So for example, if you're working around your role as a parent, you may hold beliefs like children are a burden, or having kids means I can't do what I want. Or something that I was actually holding on to when I was struggling to make physical contact with my kids and hug my kids, I actually realized I had a belief that said less affection towards the kids growing up will make them more stronger and more independent, which obviously logically doesn't make sense, but that's what my underlying belief was. So when you release all of these beliefs, it can really help you tremendously to actually start moving forward. Now, if you've got experience with energy work, or you have your own method of releasing beliefs, then use those. And if not, then you can use a method which is basically burning the belief. What you do is you write the belief down on a piece of paper, and then you burn that paper. And what's actually happening is you're taking the energy from wherever it is stuck within you, you're transferring it onto the paper, and then when you burn it, you're transferring it into light. So remember, energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed. So that's basically this process. Now, once you've released the limiting belief, you can actually replace it with a positive one. And you can add in affirmations into your life. Now, sometimes affirmations are actually a bit too unrealistic, or your brain just won't accept it. So what I find works even better than affirmations is something called afformations. And this is where you actually introduce the affirmation, but as a question. So for example, instead of saying, I'm a wonderful, loving mother, and I spend quality time with my kids, you can say, why am I such a loving mother? How do I spend so much quality time with my kids? And as soon as we introduce something as a question, the brain immediately starts looking for answers to it. And then slowly, slowly, that becomes your reality. And if, like me, you're amazing at self-sabotaging, then working with emotions and limiting beliefs will really help shift whatever is holding you back. So self-sabotage is basically the ego's way of holding you where you are and resisting change. So most of the time, there'll also be the fear of change and the fear of the unknown. So those are basically just a few of the self-help techniques that I wanted to share with you to help you start moving. So just to recap, we had meridians, we had use of words, we had feeling the negative emotions, and we had letting go of the limiting beliefs and infusing in the positive ones. So now, if you want to work deeper, or you're very much stuck in a situation, or you actually just want to develop and grow as a person, then you may want to start considering working with someone. And especially if there's a traumatic incident involved, then I always recommend working with someone. Now, when I work with someone, I basically allow my intuition to lead the way. And I do a lot of the release work from the energy body. And basically, whatever needs to be released, whether it's emotions, whether it's fears, whether it's traumas or things that have happened in the past, basically, I'm shown and I will help release all of those. Sometimes I do take a person through a meditative process where they do some of the release work and they do some of the letting go. And I basically hold space for them and I help release any emotions that they're not able to release themselves. And most of the time, there's always forgiveness work involved and embodying lessons that we were supposed to learn from that situation. And we always try and get to the root cause of what the issue is. So as an example, I worked with a client who was struggling with relationships. She felt she always attracted the wrong man in her life. And even if there was someone good, somehow she would always sabotage the relationship. So she really didn't know what to do. And when I started working with her, initially I was shown that this is like, there's several layers to it. So I went into her energy field. And the first thing I was shown was that she was holding on to a lot of generational beliefs about men, that men can't be trusted, that men like to control their wives, men are abusive, and so on. So we actually released all of these beliefs from her. And then some traumas came up where she'd actually witnessed things when she was younger, which she couldn't remember, obviously, consciously. It was still there, and she remembered after I mentioned it. But there were things that she had witnessed in her life which actually reinforced all of these beliefs. So then those were released from her. And that was the first main layer. Then the second layer, although she was really wanting to be in a relationship, she actually had beliefs that if she is in a relationship, then she won't be able to grow. She won't be able to have her independence. She won't be able to do what she enjoys. So although consciously she was yearning that relationship, subconsciously she had the opposite beliefs. And so even when someone good came along, she would push them away and sabotage the relationship. So we actually then worked on that. And then the third layer was she was actually holding onto guilt for leaving her parents. So there was actually a cord of dependency between the two of them. So her getting married would mean that her parents would become lonely as she was the only child. And so they were actually holding on to each other. Now, as much as her parents also wanted her to get married, they were fearful that when she goes, that they're going to, miss her in the family and so on. So this was actually something that was holding her back because she obviously felt that from them. Now, this was quite easy to release because obviously that was a lesson for the parents and she had a choice just to let it go. The only thing she had to do was release herself from the guilt around it and realize that she can actually bring them happiness also. So once we worked on all of these different aspects, she was able to actually release everything around relationships, and now she's in a wonderful relationship. So basically, often when you work with someone, what happens is they see things from a completely different perspective, something that you wouldn't see yourself. So if you're really stuck, then it's great to start working on it on yourself, and then to get a bit of help from someone else. Another example, which is around pain, which I still find really fascinating today. There was someone that I worked on, and I think she actually had come to me for something to do with her career or something. And I worked on that situation. But after I finished it, I was actually shown something on her left shoulder. And I was basically told to clear it. So there was some negative energy buildup on the shoulder. So I released that energy from her. As soon as I released that energy, I was then shown some emotions that were being stored there and some limiting beliefs. So I released that. Then I was suddenly shown burdens in the same point. So I released that. And this just kept going on. And I think 5 or 6 times I kept being, as soon as I would release, something else would come up. As soon as I would and I was thinking, oh my God, what is happening? I started doubting myself, because I was thinking, am I not doing this right? And I started getting a bit stressed. But then I just calmed myself down, and I just continued to follow my heart, and I just kept doing what I was being shown. Eventually, I was shown it's all clear. So after the session, I asked her, do you have pain in your left shoulder? And she's like, yeah, that's a point that really always bothers me, and it's caused me a lot of restrictions. And then she felt it, and she's like, oh, actually, I don't feel anything right now. So yeah, something's obviously shifted. So that was great. But here's the bizarre bit. A few days after, she messages me and she tells me, you'll never guess what. Every single time it rains, I always know it's going to rain because my left shoulder starts hurting. And the pain is so excruciating, I have to take painkillers for it. But today it started to rain and I didn't feel anything. And I only realized it was raining when I opened the curtains. And so this was great because for me, first of all, for someone to realize that it's going to rain was something really weird. But the fact is that she actually came for something completely different. And at the same time, because all of this was ready for release, it all just got released. So yeah, it was brilliant. And her left shoulder, alhamdulillah, as far as I know, is still fine. So whenever you get a healing done, basically whatever is ready for release will always show up. And finally, what I always tell my clients is that if you change yourself, then everything around you can start changing and it will feel the ripple effect. So recently I was working with a client for 5 weeks, and when she came to me, she wasn't in a very good space. But I told her, don't worry, let's work on yourself and work on various aspects of your life. And when it came to her fifth and final session, she said to me, I cannot believe how my life has totally changed. Everything is flowing and everything seems to be working out. Yet nothing has changed. My husband is the same. My children are the same. My family is the same. My environment's the same. My job is the same. Everything is the same, yet everything is so different. And she said, I know you told me that not to worry about my daughter and things will just work out, hopefully. She goes, the biggest shift has been in my daughter. She's actually so much happier. She's coming out of her shell. She's talking and she's actually becoming who she is. So I never believed that me working on myself could have that kind of effect on other people around me. So basically, I tell you all, never underestimate working on yourself. Things around you can just completely shift. The only thing you need is for you to want to change yourself. And with that, I'd like to now finish off with a very short visualization. And I'd like to just spark that memory of the inner child that's within you that was so full of life. The one that was the one before we were affected by all of these various emotions and traumas and beliefs that we picked up. For some of you, I know this may be a little bit difficult, especially if you've not done this kind of work. So don't worry, don't judge yourself. Just let your imagination take over and just try and feel that child within you. So can I ask you all just to close your eyes? And once you've closed your eyes, I'd like you to allow yourself to go back. Go back as far as you can remember. And even before that. Back to that little child you once were. The one who was the center of the universe. The one who was so curious about the world. So full of life. So full of joy. You saw this place as a magical kingdom, and you knew you could do absolutely anything and everything. All you had to do was ask. You could conquer the world. Look around you. What do you see? What do you hear? What can you smell? And most importantly, how do you feel? Allow that feeling to really empower you. And now heighten that emotion even more. Know that everything and anything is possible. I want you to know that that child still exists within you. That child is you. So whenever you feel like you have an obstacle in front of you, you can always take yourself back and bring that little child back to the present to help you achieve anything and everything you want. And now knowing that, and when you're ready, I'd like you to bring yourself back and open your eyes. And with that, I pass it back to you, Masrat.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I'm a pharmacist, but I'm fascinated, really curious about what you've studied. It's amazing. It's really interesting. First question, how do you do this virtually where you can unblock this energy, or do we have to come all the way to Dubai to see you?
No, I hold all my sessions virtually on Zoom.
Okay, excellent. Because it's so interesting. It's amazing. I think I underestimated energies as well. It's I mean, as you mentioned, that there is something like we want to try and get ourselves better, but we need to release that energy off as well, this negative energy as well in the block. So amazing. I think if you can mention in the chat your details as well. A lot of ladies do want to contact you if you're up for it as well. Just your number as well. Is there any book or any literature that anybody, if anyone's interested to read, or how did you do this course? I mean, I didn't even know that this existed, to be honest.
Okay, to be totally honest, I'm not a reader.
Okay.
I actually don't read books, and I just put the intention out there, and whatever I'm supposed to know or learn actually just somehow finds itself to me. So basically, I just literally go with my heart. And if I feel that there's a course, like any energy course or any course for that matter, that suddenly sparks an interest in me, and I feel that that's something that I want to do, then I just basically go for it.
Oh, mashallah, it's amazing the way you've said that, the way you can feel the energy blocks as well. I think it's, you know, the skills, and obviously the way you said it's the intention as well. So mashallah, you're really good in what you do. Amazing. Thank you so much. So I think there's a few questions. Somebody's mentioned if they feel tired all the time, does that mean there's an energy block there?
It's possibly, it could be various different things. It could be energy being drained from you. It could be certain blockages. It could be traumas and things that you're holding on to. It could be primitive reflexes that have not been integrated. So to be honest, it's very difficult to say. But working with energy, yes, you can help shift that.
Excellent. And is it possible for someone to have no blocks at all? Have you come across that?
No.
No. Okay.
To be honest, if we had no blocks, I don't think we would be here.
True.
Because we're constantly growing and we're constantly expanding. So there is always something that we can work better at.
Right.
So
Brilliant. If anybody has any questions, you can unmute yourself, or you can ask in the chat as well. But I think everyone's just fascinated. Has anybody got any questions? If you want to unmute yourself.
Yes, sister, we need contact information. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on, sister. What did you say?
Yeah, please go ahead. I'll ask next. Yeah.
Oh, it's Ms. Wayne. I was just asking if we can get her contact information in case we need to connect with her. Obviously, I have personally so many things which I want to, talk to her, and at least you can help me out with that.
Excellent. So Sukaina, if you can put your details in, please, in the chat. I think also someone's got another question. Yeah.
I'm Rachna here from India.
Yeah, go on, sister.
Yeah, actually, I had attended energy healing workshops in a secular way, and I was always on the lookout for something similar, because a lot of shift had happened in my life, alhamdulillah, over the past 7 to 8 years. But I was always uncomfortable with the fact that, it was not based on my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became deeper. I could see a shift in my life, the people around me, and alhamdulillah, I had benefited a lot. But still, somewhere deep down, I was not comfortable that this was not in the way of our Sunnah or Quran. So I was really on the lookout for something similar based on the Quran and Sunnah. So I would like to know that, what is that? I mean, how do you relate this with Islamic framework?
So basically, when you're connecting, you're always connecting to the divine.
Yes.
And regardless of who you learn this from, the divine is just one. There is only one Allah. You are always connecting to his energy.
Yes.
And in terms of, let's say, Quran, what is Quran? It's actually vibration. When you recite it, it's sound vibration. When you look at it, it's still vibration from the eyes, from what you're seeing. So energy work is literally just vibration work. And there's different aspects that you can obviously use. So obviously there are many ayahs in the Quran which you can use, and use them in terms of the vibrational effect that it will have on you for your healing. I don't know, does that answer your question? Because quite a lengthy answer, I would say, to discuss about.
No, I was very much excited when I happened to see this link, for this meeting, and I was really looking forward to hear from you. And I'm so glad that, I attended this. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khairan.
Thank you.
If you want to talk with me about it further, then you can just contact me directly, and then we can have a discussion.
I would love to, because this is like Allah has answered my duas. So I mean, I'm really excited about it, actually. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't have your number. How do we take it forward?
I've actually put it on the chat, but at the same time, if you just message me on my Facebook or on Instagram, then I'll.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Has anybody, I think we've got a question on there. It says, how do you take action on goals? How do you end procrastination? I think that's one of the things that we all do.
So procrastination normally comes from you resisting wanting to do something. So if you feel into what is the emotion around that and why are you resisting, and then try and release that emotion, then it can help with your procrastination. And also, if you just run your central and governing meridians, that will also help.
Regarding releasing the meridians, is it in the morning that you recommend, once a day?
You can actually do it anytime, but it's great to do it in the mornings.
Is it just once a day?
as many times as you want.
As many times as you want. Okay, that's fine. Is it Sister Zainab? Have you got a question? Okay. I think somebody said, do you think chakras can help with that? Is it similar? Yeah, the energies.
I work with chakras also, but chakras is a little bit harder for you to work on by yourself and to clear because they're quite complex. Whereas I find that meridians are something that are quite easy, and you can just literally, without knowing what you're doing, you can just introduce this practice into your daily life.
Thank you. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself, or I think you can have a look through I'll send the video, the recording, and you can check that again, because I think somebody was asking if you could repeat how to release that, but we'll send the link as well, and you can look into that as well. But has anybody got any questions? I think everyone's fine. So thank you so much, Sukaina. I will be in touch with you. I think that energy shifting will definitely work with me as well. So just the last question. Is it possible that some days you have the good days where you've got so much energy, and then some days you feel the block as well? Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. It's like there'll be a lot of different things affecting you. So basically, we're also affected by other people's energy. So that can really affect you as well. So if you're having a day where, say, people around you are very frustrated, then that will also make you probably feel more blocked. At the same time, it's on your emotional state. So depending on where you are on that day, your emotions are really going to affect you. And also, if your mind is overactive and you have a lot going on, then on those days, you're going to feel very drained, because obviously all your energy is being used up by your brain.
Okay, I think that explains. I think someone's just curious, how do you see the blocks and energies in others? And is it through you've done courses and things like that, and as you practice more, you've gained that expertise?
Yeah, so basically, I've worked on heightening my third eye abilities, and it's basically like a muscle, and the more you use it, the better you get at it. So when I actually tap into a person's energy, I'm actually not looking with my eyes, but I'm looking with my third eye, and I'm actually just getting a sense of what's going on for that person, and where the blockages are, where the emotions are stuck, or even what emotions are stuck. And sometimes I get information like maybe it's related to a certain age where something traumatic happened. So then I would go to that age and release whatever it is that happened at that age, so that can be pulled out from the person's energy.
Wow, that's amazing. I think you've got a gift, mashallah. Wow. Yes. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much, Sukaina. I think you've opened my eyes. I didn't even realize this existed. So thank you so much. But we will keep in touch with you. And obviously, if there are any sessions that you can do in, after the 10 days of Muharram, if any sisters, brothers need any help as well, we can look into that as well. But for the timing, I think Sister Sukaina has given us a lot of information. There's something that we can practice as well and work on ourselves to release this block as well. But we will be in touch. Thank you so much to everyone for joining in. We will send the link for the recording in the Iqra Library WhatsApp group, and inshallah, once that's sorted, we'll put on our YouTube as well, on our YouTube Iqra Library YouTube channel as well. So thank you so much, Sukaina, and we'll end here.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, before you leave. Sorry.
Yeah.
Where are you going to send the link for the recording?
So we've got an Iqra Library WhatsApp group.
The link for the recording where?
Yeah, we will send it in the WhatsApp group, or we'll put it on our Iqra Library YouTube channel. So if you want to go onto YouTube and search Iqra Library, we've got our recordings on there, previous recording, and I'll send the recording for the session. Yeah.
Yeah, can I be on the WhatsApp group? Can I be part of the WhatsApp group?
Yes, if you want to message me on WhatsApp, I'll put my number on there. And then I can add you to the our Iqra Library WhatsApp group, and whenever we've got any sessions, any related sessions or any sessions with Sukaina, we'll add on the group as a reminder. I'll just put my mobile number on the chat, yeah. And if you can,
on the Zoom chat there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
wait for the number.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum
I
salam.
have a question.
Yeah,
I have
go
a
on.
question. You said some people, their meridian energy runs the wrong way. How do we know it's running the wrong way?
If you're feeling extremely ungrounded and very off all of the time, then it's possibly an indication that it's going the wrong way. At the same time, if you are depressed,
How do I take your WhatsApp?
a lot of anxiety,
Short.
that could be an indication that it's going the wrong way. Generally, I would actually muscle test the person and just check on that person's body which way the meridian is running.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so how would you do that on Zoom though?
Because I can actually tap into your body using my, so I would do the muscle test on myself for you.
All right.
Okay, all right.
So what do I do now?
We're actually all connected.
Huh?
Okay, thank you.
Really
Salam, I
interesting.
had a question.
Go on.
So my question is regarding how you said that you're not really interested in books as such, but you kind of just gain this knowledge and then you apply it, and that's how you are. So I just wanted to understand that in terms of certainty, where Islam reinforces the idea of being certain and then kind of teaching knowledge and inspiring us, how do you gain this certainty without researching? Like, for example, if I wanted to become a doctor, but without a degree, how do you reach the certainty?
I'm not saying that I don't research. What I'm saying is I'm not a reader. I have never been a reader. So even throughout my degree, obviously we were given a book list of books that were recommended to read. I never, ever, ever went to the library. I never picked up a book. I learned from people. So I would learn from my lecturers. I would learn from the notes that they gave me. So I'm learning from information that's been given to me. It's not just something that I'm making up or suddenly just receiving or but I'm not somebody that can tell you, oh, this book is really fascinating and this book has a lot of this, good information. So say for example, if I'm taking a course and we're given a textbook, then obviously I will use that textbook. But I'm not someone that is well-read.
So let's say, for example, you were responding to the other sister regarding the muscle thing over Zoom, and I asked you, for example, for the reference. Does that mean you'd be the reference, or
No.
how would it work?
The work has, for example, muscle testing. I learned a course which was Touch for Health, and this was actually done by one of them is Matthew Thie. I can't remember who is, it's his father as well, whose name I can't remember at this moment. But there's a whole textbook, and it's called Touch for Health, and it shows you all the muscles and how to read the muscles and where the muscle is exactly, and what it means when one muscle is, it's called locking and unlocking basically, but when one muscle is strong or when it's not strong, and so on.
Thank you so much, Sukaina. And I think we'll end the session. We've gone over the time, but thank you so much. If there is any information or anything that you want to pass it on to me, Sukaina, any links or anything to add to today's session, please send it to me and I'll send it in the Iqra Library WhatsApp group for obviously those people that are interested a bit more about today's session. But thank you so much, and inshallah, we'll see you next time.
And I'm just going to say one thing. I
Yeah.
think there's a few people that have actually written direct messages to me.
Have they? Okay.
If they can actually just maybe get my contact details from you and then message me.
Yes.
Or if anyone wants to message me directly, if they can just get the contact details from you, then I'm happy to have a chat.
Excellent, thank you. Because I think somebody few might have some personal questions as well, or might need a bit of help as well. But yeah, I'll share that. So if you want to message to me, and I'll give you Sukaina's number as well, or you can go onto Instagram or Facebook. It's Kryation Healing, isn't it? So yeah, if you can contact her that way. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.